Okay, how are we doing, lads? Hope we're all doing well. Yeah, hope everyone's having a good day. What time is it back home? 7:11. 11 minutes past 7, yeah. Okay, tweet's been sent out. Not really much else I need to do, I don't think. Get this on screen. I've had some complications. Matt Winter, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining the stream. Yeah, had a load of Wi-Fi complications over the last, since Thursday actually. So today, we got the Wi-Fi back yesterday evening. But yeah, Monday, start fresh, have the Wi-Fi back, which is nice to see. But yeah, hope we're all doing well. I'm just checking on YouTube on my phone that we're live, and we are, so things are all good. What's this? Gareth Bale signing with LAFC showcases MLS is winning over European stars. Interesting. Tom, what's going on, Tom? Thank you for joining the stream. Hope we're all doing well. Yeah, we are going to be looking over game week 283. Excuse me. We'll also look at how I did in game week 282, which wasn't great. And then, of course, we'll speak about the Pedri purchase. And yeah, we'll just have an overall chat about all things Sorare. Managed to get a bit of ETH this game week. It's basically the only thing I did win. 0.0, whatever it is, 4 ETH. From this team here with 4 players. Daiki again with a decisive. He got clearance off the line, yeah. I've made the mistake twice now of not playing him in my better lineups, and he keeps producing in the threshold team where I should be playing him in the better teams, which you'll find out why as we scroll down. Shaka Boom's in the building. Shaka Boom, what's going on, mate? The rest of the lineups are very, very average scores. And yeah, this is where Daiki could have played instead of Seo Young-woo. I heard there could have been Seo Young-woo rotational situations ongoing. I didn't. I risked it. I thought the risk was, had higher upside than it did downside, so I went with it. I paired him with Enzo Fernandez, who I thought was a risk as well. He ended up getting a really bad AA score, but got a decisive. He got an assist, luckily, and a 2-1 win as my captain. And then he's blanked, even though they scored 2 goals away to Austin. And Mitsuta, who's been absolutely incredible for me recently. Yeah, another goal for him. 3-1 away win. I didn't get the clean sheet with Osako. But yeah, finished 183rd. No prize there. This was really frustrating as well. I decided to go with Cho Young-wook. I never really play super rare forwards in under 23 rare pro. I did this time. Wook had a very good fixture on paper, and he did get himself a goal, got a header at home to Ichion, or however you pronounce it. So yeah, he scored me 100, which is perfect. What a start. Osako, obviously, I did have 2 Osakos. I now only have 1, which we'll get into as well. Hendo is joining the building. Hendo, what's going on, mate? Thank you for joining the stream. Yeah, just going through game week 282 lineups, and then getting into 283s, and then a bit of a gallery restructure. Why I bought Pedri situation. J Vic's joined as well. J Vic, what's going on, mate? But yeah, no clean sheet for the Osakos. Segigawa and Sekigawa, if anyone wants to have me on the pronunciation of that one. For whatever reason, I struggle with that one. Hendo says he's got 364 with a threshold team and a T3 incoming. Can't ask for anything more. That's actually really solid. Really, really solid. There's nothing better when the threshold team comes in clutch. Like, it's my least prioritized lineup. I'm not sure if that's the same with you, Hendo, but maybe it's not right now because I know you're mainly European. in terms of your gallery. But yeah, there's nothing better than hitting a card in All-Star. Yeah, like I said, Tsunomoto and Sekigawa both came off the bench. They drew 1-1. I didn't really expect them to get rotated, but they did. Pablo Ruiz with a decent AA score, nothing crazy at all, but need more from my captain. Yeah, 24 points away from a tier 2. Should have really capitalized this game week. There's just DMPs and non-starters that it's just so hard to predict. This was my closest lineup, to be fair. Almost went back-to-back card wins in under 23 super rare. Tanny with another clean sheet, which is just crazy. George Campbell with a really solid AA score, 2-1 loss away to Toronto. Nishio got dragged at halftime, which just wasn't ideal. Frankie Amaya had an okay AA score, but he got dragged at 64th minute, and then Akida as well got dragged 71st. No decisive. If I know it's ifs and buts. If I would have played Cho Young Wook instead of Akida, which could have easily been done and captained him, then yeah, there's definitely a nice reward there waiting for me. Maybe even a podium, but yeah, it's easy to say that. Hendo said, down to one team at the moment. Injected a wee bit of capital into Pozuelo and Murillo, who can stack with my Krapau. Rudia's injury not been kind to me, but Brenner finally stepped up. Yeah, I saw Brenner. Did Brenner get a goal this weekend? It was Friday night, right? Against Orlando, I think. I couldn't watch the game, even though I had a bit of skin in the game with Burrell, but couldn't watch the game because of the Wi-Fi situation. Jarji, what's going on, mate? Thank you for joining the stream. So yeah, disappointing week, to be honest. I've left with a little bit of ETH. So close on so many of these teams, 23 points, 25 almost, and then 8 points. Yeah, really, really, really frustrating because these are the game weeks that I really do need to capitalize on. Obviously didn't do so this week. I did last week, to be fair. So, it's hard to do it every week, obviously. But it's also, just tough to read these DMPs and players coming off the bench that you don't expect, Segikawa, like I said, and Tsunomoto. But, nonetheless, it was a decent game week. We'll take it. Diego Palacios, who I have a rare of, I didn't play, and he scored the highest of this game week for me, 94.4. Ian, what's going on, mate? Thank you for joining the stream. Diego Palacios got himself a goal and a clean sheet at home yesterday. Who did they play? I should know this. They played Frankie Ameyer's, Red Bulls, New York Red Bulls team. But obviously Bale have just signed for LAFC. Which is interesting in itself. I actually sold my Bale rare card on Saturday, I think, for like 0.67. What should we do first? Should we do lineup building for game week? Yeah, we'll do lineup building for game week 283 first, and then we'll get into sort of like a bit of a gallery restructure or just strategy restructure, I guess. Rob Marshall just joined as well. Rob, what's going on, mate? Thank you for joining the stream. I am going to need some of your expertise here, Rob. I've only got one. Well, I've got two lineups going out midweek, basically. One's going to be an under 23 Red Pro, and then one's going to be a threshold team, basically. Just looking at the game week lobby here. So let's go up to. So under 23s has 290 participants, 55 prizes, which is not bad. It's like a 1 in 6 shot almost. That's a card. The one I'm probably more interested in, even though the odds don't look as good in terms of participation to prizes, is the under 23 Pro. 15 card prizes on offer, 89 participants at this point. And then, I won't have a team ready for under 23 super rare. So that's kind of irrelevant to me. So I've got a few little dilemmas to overcome. Like I said, I did have 2 Osakos going into this game week up until Saturday. I sold one. I think I sold him for like 1.75 ETH. I bought him for 1.1 ETH not too long ago. Let's see what he's up for now. 1.9, 1.85. Okay, yeah. So he's at a rough price, or he's listed at a price that's basically the same as he was on Saturday. Obviously, I sold him a little bit less than what the floor is, which I'm fine with, to be honest. But it's left me with 1 Osako, which is obviously more than enough. I have bought a replacement for him, which we will get into. But we do need to build ourselves an under 23 rare pro lineup, basically. So Osako picks himself away to Gamba. I've got 2 options in defense, right? So this is all. Let me move myself to the other side. Okay, so Barco's definitely not going to play, so he's completely out of the situation. The only two players we can look at here is Diego Palacios rare and George Campbell super rare. Now, obviously, I can only play two super rares in this lineup. Okay, so let's just have a little look through who else I can play in terms of supers, in terms of rares. So we've got Frankie Amaya super rare, this playable. You'd like to think at home to Atlanta. We've got Varela, who I've not been able to play yet. He was my reward for finishing first in under 23 super rare. They're away to Corinthians in the Copa Libertadores. Burrell was subbed off injured, to be fair, last game, so I'm probably not going to risk him. Even though they're at home, they play New York, which obviously a decent team. Pomical, rare, and then of course Enzo Fernandez away to Velez. It's a must-win game for them, so I need to fit Enzo into this team somehow. Like he has to play. And then we've brought in a Jose Paradella who plays for River as well. I don't really see. He might start actually. I wouldn't gamble on it, but yeah. So Enzo Fernandez, for me, has to play. So that's one of my three rares that I can use. Obviously, I've used the goalkeeper up. I've used Enzo. Like that. That's definitely happening. I don't have any super rare forwards. So basically, Rob, I'm probably going to ask you to help me here. Am I going to be put off this opposition score? Because I know Gamba aren't great. I know, well, I can see here with the odds, Hiroshima are flying right now. The bookies fancy them. They are away from home. He scored away from home last game. Do you think Mitsuta is the best forward here for me to play? Joveljic is not a guaranteed starter, so he's kind of out of the question. So basically what I'm asking is, do we think we'd go with Mitsuta over Jesus Ferreira? I know Dallas are good away. Well, they're very good away from home. They seem to score way more goals away. Ferreira didn't get a decisive last game. Mitsuta did. But the opposition scores are vastly different. But I just think LA are a good team. They just beat New York Red Bulls 2-0 at home. It's going to be tough for Dallas away from home. Like, in my head, I think Mitsuta is the play. It's just the opposition score that's scaring me a little bit. And maybe if that wasn't there, then I would definitely probably pick Mitsuta. Let me know what you would do. I'd be interested to see what you guys would say. Would you go Jesus Ferreira away to LAFC or Mitsuta away to Osaka? Ian says Mitsuta. Yeah, okay. There's number one for Mitsuta. Anyone else in the comment section, let me know. But I am leaning towards Mitsuta, to be honest. Let's see what Big Rob says. Surface is late to the stream. Why are you playing this in rare pro versus rare? Jarji says Mitsuta too. Simply Alex, Pedri, Choo Choo Train. Alex, I watched your video this morning, to be fair, when I first woke up. Elliot says, hello, my friend. Have you heard Lino transfer apparently to Kobe? Yeah, I've actually seen that. I used to I actually won a Lino like over a year ago, but I think he's 24 now, so he might even be 25. So I'm not really interested in the older Japanese players at this point. Not that he's that old. Simply Alex has got Mitsuta as well. To answer Surface's question, I have super rares to play, basically. So if we're going like this, George Campbell basically has to start, and then it would be a Maya or Varela as my extra player is basically what I'm getting at Surface. This is why I wasn't going to play 5 rares in under 23 Rare Pro. I'm obviously going to go with 2 supers as well. It was just like what 2 supers to use, basically. Because if I wanted to play Diego Palacios, I would have to use 2 super rare midfielders, which means that Enzo Fernandez wouldn't be able to play for me, is basically what I'm getting at. Surface says, who are your supers? Yeah, so basically it's George Campbell, and then it's either Amaya or Varela for the extra position. Tom says, don't know, only play Europe and MLS. Fair enough. Tom, no worries. Rob says, Gamba just tried to outpress Sapro and should have lost 4-0. Hiroshima should beat Gamba, and have been looking dangerous. Hiroshima have an extra day rest over Gamba. Mitsuta has to play. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Rob, for explaining it. Like, I knew I was going to go with Mitsuta, to be completely honest. But yeah, the fact that you've just kind of explained it a bit more to me, that really does help. Elliot says Amaya is sick. Bro, I love watching Frankie Amaya play. Like, I think it's like the way he retains the ball in midfield. It's just like, I don't know. His close control is just outstanding. Like players just can't get near him. He's basically press resistant. Like that, nobody really wins the ball off him when he has the ball in midfield. He's phenomenal. He's really, really good. Like he lacks a little bit of physicality. Like he gets stuck in, don't get me wrong, but like in stature, he's not the tallest, he's not the fastest. Surface says he thinks I should pick Jesus. Interesting. There are only 3 under 23 goalkeepers, but I think the Mitsuta against Osaka put you at a disadvantage. Surface, can you explain to me why you think me going Mitsutu over Ferreira puts me at a disadvantage? I'd like to know the reasoning behind that. I'm not saying you're wrong in any way. I'm just curious to see your reasoning on that, to be honest. But yeah, that still doesn't answer what I should do with my super rare. So it's basically Amaya at home to Atalanta or Varela away to Corinthians. I know. Let me get another tab. We'll get another tab up. I think Varela. It's about correct. Yeah. Oh. Surface thought. Okay. Yeah, I got you, Surface. No worries. That makes sense. Surface just thought that Mitsuta played for Gamba. Okay, that makes complete sense now. Just looking at the Super Rare situation. So I don't think there's much in it between Amaya and Varela in terms of like who I should pick. I know one's away and one's home. Frankie got taken off in the 60th minute on the weekend. I don't know if that's anything to read into. Varela didn't play. He was rested. So I know for a fact Varela is playing. Like it's just guaranteed, as much as anything can be guaranteed, I believe. Where's the Corinthians score? So here he scored 57. This was against Corinthians in game week 271. A score of 22, which on a super rare, like I can deal with. If he can get me as close to 60 again, obviously with the super, I'm happy with that, you know. Amaya's hit and miss. Sometimes his A is really good, sometimes it's not. I feel like Amaya's better away from home than he is at home. So yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning towards Varela, but I think that is like a bias just because I've never played him before, and he was a reward. So I'm like eager to play him. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment sections, guys. If there's any sort of analysis on what you would do here, Maya or Varela. I am leaning towards Varela just because I can kind of see how he did last time against Corinthians. I know it's not the be all or end all, but it's better than seeing like a 20. Like one of these scores down here. Oh, that was a 20. What's the chance? Oh, okay, wait there. He only played 26 minutes. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that is fine. Okay, so Elliot says, will it be Enzo's last game? I will sort. How do I sort by L50? Alex says Varela for vibes. I'm feeling that, Alex. Elliot says, will it be Enzo's last game? It could be if they lose, basically, is how I understand it. Surfer says, can you sort the extra spot by L40? Can I do that? I don't know. That's L15, right? How do I do L40? L15, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so Jesus has the best L15, Amaya second, Varela third, but there's not much in it between Varela and Amaya. Stokey said, what type of team can Atlanta even put out now? They didn't have another, didn't they have another injury? Yeah, Brooks Lennon actually got, he's done his MCL, basically. He's out for 2 months as far as I'm aware. Alex says, winners breed winners, Varela, don't shoot the messenger. Alex, I am really leaning towards that, if I'm completely honest. If they were home, it would be a no-brainer, I think. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's not as nailed on. Like, it's just no clear winner for me in terms of Amaya or Varela, to be completely honest. But I just have a sneaky feeling Varela's just going to do better. So I'm going to throw Varela in for now. I think this is what I want to go with. And in terms of captain, I don't know. Mitsuta's A game has been really good recently, so I'm inclined to go with Mitsuta over Enzo, even though that's I don't know, maybe that's just recency bias. Ian said it's a toying cost. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Ian, to be fair. I don't think there's that much in it, to be completely honest. Okay, so if that is the team we're going to go with for now, then we're going to throw that into here. We'll go George Campbell, Enzo, Mitsuta, and Varela, and we'll captain Mitsuta, and then we can just Surface says, so in Copper, the strategy is that the weaker team at home in first leg is to go for the tie. So does that benefit Varela? I think it does. Yeah, if we're talking defensive contributions and sort of interceptions, tackles and stuff, then yeah, you'd like to think if Corinthians are attacking more than Boca are, then yeah, maybe there's more chance of him, sort of raking up those those ground jewels won and etc. etc. So yeah, maybe that could be. But that's what that's a good point, Surface. My counterpoint to that, or my add-on to that, is when I mentioned the whole Amaya thing. Amaya seems to be better away from home, meaning that like when Red Bulls don't dominate possession, when they do dominate possession, he just doesn't seem to get involved in the play as much as I would like, basically. So that's kind of the thinking behind that. We're going to throw in an all-star rare team. I'm not going to have a goalkeeper, so that is irrelevant for now. Defense is going to be Diego Palacios. Midfield is, I kind of have to go with Paxson, to be honest, with Burrell's injury worry a little bit. Going off last game, it's just not worth it for me. So I'm going to go Paxton there, and then I'm just going to probably go with Jesus and Joveljic, hoping that Joveljic starts or at least comes off the bench and scores or something. Excuse me. Okay, so Elliot says, when I watched them, Amaya and Caceres are both warriors. Yeah, they really are, to be completely honest. They're both very similar players. Caceres scored really well yesterday, to be fair to him. Rob says, I'd probably captain Enzo. He seems like an elite scorer from what I've seen. I mean, he is an elite scorer, don't get me wrong. But I just think, I don't know, I just have a funny feeling that Mitsuta, this is a huge game for River. And I'm not saying that that's something that like Enzo will shy away from in any way. It could potentially be his last game as well. So I don't know. I just think there could be a lot of pressure on that. And I just feel like the Mitsuta game is just a little bit less on it. And I feel like, I don't know, I just have a sneaky feeling that Mitsuta is just going to score well again, effectively. But yeah, I'm open to, I'm open to changing that at any point. I'm not dead set on that. Okay, so that is game week 283 out of the way for now. It's leg 1 of 2. I see, Surface. Fair enough. Thank you for letting me know that. I didn't realize. Well, just presumed it'd be one leg, but yeah, of course it's 2 legs, isn't it? Okay, interesting. Okay, so yesterday I bought basically the most expensive player I've ever bought on Sorare. Alex says, if you're not captaining the best mid in the game, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I come up with. Okay, so yeah, yesterday I spent the most amount of ETH and the most cards traded I've ever done, basically, to get this guy into the gallery. I bought him off Super, who's Mane. I paid, see if we can go into my I paid 3.28 ETH plus my Ryan Cherokee for him. So Ian says, can see Matsuta gaining confidence in the last few performances. Think he'll put in some nice goals over the coming weeks. I agree with you, Ian. I definitely agree with you. Fred says Enzo won't be leaving until October. Okay, interesting stuff. But yeah, going back to the Pedri deal, this is what I paid for him, 3.28 ETH plus my Ryan Cherokee, which I think I paid like 0.7 ETH for, something like that, months ago now. Surface says he's in the Captain Enzo camp as well. Okay, I'll change. I've completely caved. You've got me. You all got me. And I'm blaming all of you guys if Enzo doesn't score as well as Mitsuta. I'm only joking. Okay, Enzo captain. Yeah, like I said, brought in the most expensive player I've ever bought on Sorare. So basically, I was in contact with a guy that said like he would buy super rares in bulk, basically. So I sold 9 of my super rares for 2 ETH. Those included Papagay, Ito, Naiman, Nishio, Silamikers, Vitinho, Jongsan Bin, Shone, and Lucas Anderson. All of which, apart from Nishio, I wasn't using at all. Wasn't really planning on using at all, to be honest. I bought Ito for like, what was it, 0.175 last week. I bought Papagay for like 0.2. Oh, he's already been sold, to be fair. That's nice. Yeah, bought him for 0.21. So, like, these players I didn't really spend that much money on, to be completely honest. And everyone knows how hard it is to... David says, David's in the building. What's going on, David? Rob says, you should watch him play. He's been full of confidence all season. He's actually a bit smug, I reckon, full of confidence already. I don't know if you're asking me that, Rob, but to be fair, I've actually watched Mitsuta a few times this year. Josh Foyth is joined. What's going on, Foythy? Thank you for joining in and popping in. I know you've got baby duties at some point this evening, or maybe they're already over. But yeah, I really do appreciate it, mate. But yeah, basically all I was doing was explaining that to come up with the ETH that I needed yesterday for the Pedri deal, I sold 9 supers. And yeah, like, I know, I hope the guy makes some money off him, to be completely honest. Bids are already, saucepan lids are already in bed. Love that. Yeah, you've got a few hours until you'll be going to bed, to be fair. So that's a nice little evening on the cards there for 40. Yeah, so sold these for 2 ETH. Mary says congrats. Thank you guys, and Evan, really do appreciate it. Yeah, never really been a part of like doing like a bulk super rare deal before, but basically I just had way too many super rares compared to rares, as you can see in my gallery. I've still got 26 and only 43 rares. I did have 35 or whatever that is, and 2 of them I bought 2 days ago as well. So yeah, so I made that 2 ETH from there. I then sold one of my Osakos. Let's see if that is in there. Let's see. I sold my Bale. So I sold a Bale for 0.67. And then I sold... Yeah, there it is. I sold one of my Osakos for 1.75. Bought him for 1.1, like I said. Similar fiat value. Surface says, congrats, Pedri is a special player. Yeah, I just... He's been on the cards for me like for too long, and he was way too expensive for a long time. I didn't think I'd ever come up with the ETH. Alex says your only Bale. Yes, my only Bale. I have got rid of him just because 1, I wanted to get the Pedri deal done. 2, I don't play any divisions that aren't under 23 apart from All-Star Rare, so I wouldn't have got what I wanted out of him, and I'm going to just buy him just before the World Cup, to be honest. I don't think the LA move is going to be that great for him in terms of like just him being that good. I think it's a bit of a holiday for him, but that's just my opinion. And yeah, so yeah, 2 ETH from that, the Bale thing, the Osako situation. So I made 1.75 from Osako, 0.67 from Bale, the 2 ETH from the Super Rares, and then I bought a Saskai for 0.84 plus who did I give him? I gave him one of these guys, Peria. I bought 2. Actually, I bought 3 of him, to be fair. Gave one of them away with 0.84 ETH for Saskai, mainly because 1, I'm hoping he's going to keep the number 1 jersey. Rob, you might be able to give me a little bit more info on that. I know they lost 4-0 on the weekend, which isn't great. Alex said, I think he'd walk through the MLS if he tried, but likely won't try. Yeah, that's probably a good way to look at it, Al. I just don't think he's there to play games. I just think he's there for a bit of a jolly up, to be honest. So yeah, bought a Saskai in because I do own a Super Rare Koga, so there's a nice little correlation there, goalkeeper and Super Rare defender. So yeah, that was one of the reasons. He's a lot cheaper than owning 2 Osakos. There's a bit of risk involved with owning 2 Osakos because, of course, if he gets injured, there's 2 of my under 23 Super Rare goalkeepers out the way. Rob says he isn't nailed. The transfer window opens in a week or so, and then and they might look to replace him. He's number one until that happens, though. He's been involved in Japanese under-21 teams too. Yeah, I saw that. He was on the bench, wasn't he, for the last set of games. Look at the tweet I just tagged you in about Bale and golf, Harry. I'll have a look now. I think I've seen this tweet. Have I seen this tweet? That's really funny. That is really, really funny. Oh my god. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Yeah, he's not stupid. Shakaboom, on those pitches and considering his injury record, I don't think he'll be fit enough for many games. I completely agree with you, Shakaboom, to be completely honest. So yeah, brought in a SAS guy, like Rob said. It's not nailed as of now. Hopefully when the transfer window closes, we'll know a lot more about that situation. But for the price I got him for, it's a bit of a risk, of course, if he isn't number one. But I think he's 20 right now. So, if he's not number one now, it's not the end of the world. I think at some point he will. You'd like to think he would be involved in Rachel's number one setup. Like I said, if not now, maybe in the near future. 20 years old, so there's loads of years left for me to get use out of him. So yeah, he's basically just like my replacement for Osako, even though Osako's nailed on, and Saskai, of course, from what Rob said, isn't as nailed on, which is fine. I also, what did I do? So I won these two last week. I bought three Parias for like 50, 60 pounds each. He had a really good AA score against Cincinnati on Friday. He started. He hasn't started in a long time. He's under 21, is under 23 as well, which is just perfect for me. Bought a couple of limiteds. And then I bought two Callum Slattery's super rares. I saw them on the auction. They were like 2 hours away from each other. So I got the first one for £77. Got the second one for £108. He was at Southampton under 23s as a kid. Got released, went to Motherwell. I think he scored 2 goals last season. My best friend who lives in this house with me grew up with him. Basically, they went to school together in Oxford. He gave me a bit of insight on him. I've seen some video. I like what I see. I spoke to Tony Watt as well because he played with him at Motherwell and said he's got everything to be fair. If he stays fit, he can be a really good player. So they're just two gambles, basically, 2 Super 8 gambles. There's only 4 in existence right now. Jorge's in the building. Jorge, what's going on, bro? Andreas Perez has a bright future, but probably won't play much until he gets a move. Is it like the manager that doesn't really like him, or what's the situation there? Be interested to know. Like I said, I bought a Paradella just because he was £70 and he scored 89 for River Plate, and yeah, he could, every weekend game where River might rotate, I think he's going to be involved in. So I just thought, it's probably worth picking one up. So luckily bought one for £70. I'm not sure what he's listed for right now. Floor price, I think, is a little bit more than that, 170. Yeah, so yeah, he's basically doubled in value almost. There's a bid there for 117, so looks to be a decent move. But yeah, going back to the Pedri thing, like, yeah, I have Enzo Fernandez, and yeah, he's moving to Benfica, and yeah, that does sound great, but there's still risk there at some point, and if I'm only concentrating on under 23s, then I needed somebody really, really elite in that midfield role. I didn't really have, and I don't really have anybody else. I have a Fabio Vieira, which, I wish he wasn't going to Arsenal, of course, again, because he's moving, there's risk involved. I don't necessarily think he's going to be bad. I just don't think he's going to be nailed on every week. Lucas said GG on Pedri. Thank you, bro. I do really appreciate it. Ross says, so many Scottish Prem super rares like that going under the radar. Yeah, I can imagine. I don't have that much knowledge on the league, so I don't really or can't really take advantage of it fully. But that one was lucky that my friend used to play with him. So, just help me out. Chase says, LA County Club is top 25 course in the world. Lots of prestigious golf clubs in LA for Bale to join. That's class. Going back to midfielders, I have a few good summer options, obviously, Pablo Ruiz being one of them. But in terms of like European centre midfielders, rare and super rare, or maybe let's just go rare, right? look down the list. Fabio Vieira just moved. There's risk there. I'll leave the Supers out of the question. Tyler Adams might move, risk, but that could work out okay for him. Onana won him as a reward. Again, he's been rumored to move in. I don't think he's going to score crazy well, even if he doesn't. Or I don't even think he's that nailed on for Lille next season. He's got a good chance, of course. Kees Ruiz-Atil just lost his Barcelona contract, so he's out of the question. And then for Jack de Vries. So as you can see, I'm really, really low on like good, just not even elite, like good under 23 midfielders. Obviously, Enzo Fernandez would be in this as well because obviously he's moving to Benfica. But like I said, there is somewhat of a risk. I think he's going to do great, but again, don't know when he's going to move there. Like there's obviously complications there where, you know, I really needed to get somebody in that was just gonna fill that void for me, like fill that rare under 23 elite midfielder role for me. I could have went with Joey Veerman. That would have worked. Could work nicely for me purely because I own a Cody Gakpo, and if Gakpo stays, I also own a super rare Jorge Vertessen, who Ruud van Nistelrooy apparently said that he could potentially fight for that starting forward role at PSV, like as the number 9. So that's something to look into as well. Jorge says he's just still very young and rotating. Urso and Araujo have been starting in those positions and locked down pretty much. Yeah, that makes sense. Jorge, thank you for letting me know that. Surface says under 23 is very tough. A lot of the whales just hoover up all the good prospects cheap, so you end up at a disadvantage in this region because of the mechanics of the Sorare market. That's true. Yeah, that is kind of true because, yeah, there's obviously people that joined before me that have, swooped up a lot of the cheap got the very good cards for cheap basically, and they don't really have to spend as much. But like, to be honest, like the money that I've spent on like Pedri and stuff, like I've recycled that myself, as in like I haven't actually deposited any of that. So yeah, I'm at a disadvantage because, you know, I'm losing, or I'm having to recycle players where they've just got all the players effectively. But I think doing what I do with like just having an under 23 gallery for me just makes sense. I can just tunnel vision in on my 3, 4, 5 lineups a week. And it requires less like worry because I'm not putting out 50, 60 players where I was at one point, you know, playing the Challenger region, playing Champions region, playing D3 All-Star. Like there was just a lot more things that could go wrong basically for me in my head. Alex asked, what's my best under 23 rare team next year? We will do that right now, to be fair, Alex. I had a look yesterday. Lucas said, do you know Omari? I've picked one up lately. I have a good feeling. He's still very good. Risk reward. Yeah, I haven't seen him play, to be honest, but I know a few guys who I speak to, you know, in the Sorare space, they do rate him. So that could be, that could be something to look out for, to be fair. I think he could be a good player next season. Surface says, like, just look at my under 23 mids. There's just very little room for error with limited sources. It's very unfair. Lucas says, certainly because he's midweek under 23 Champions Europe. Surface says, oh yeah, you're doing amazing. It's just very hard because even people who haven't or who didn't join before just have an advantage. Omari is excellent, David says. Yeah, all very valid points, to be fair. In terms of my best team on paper, it would have to be Diego Costa in goals. If this is an under 23 rare pro lineup, then I would go. Let me put me on this side. So yeah, it would have to be Badiashile. I think he's as nailed on as it gets, really. Hopefully, there was a bit of news of him moving, but I just don't think he will, to be honest. Lucas says he's very keen on using him. It's good news. Yeah, in terms of midfielders, I mean, it has to be Pedri, doesn't it? There's no question about that. In terms of forwards, it's basically, it depends what I want to do. Like, it depends if I want to play a super rare forward, which could be maybe a Zion Fleming, which probably it won't be. If I have a Gakpo that's playing at PSV, and if I have an Ansu Fati that's fit, then I would have to say, I mean, going off SO5 scores, yeah, if Gakpo's at PSV, I'm starting Gakpo. But if he's not, for whatever reason, then I would have to go with Fati, which obviously isn't a bad thing, or isn't like me complaining in any way. And then for the extra position, it's either Eric Garcia, if I think he's going to be nailed on at Barcelona, which I hope he will be, Let's do this by get rid of the rares and just see on my supers. I could go 2 forwards and go with Zion Fleming. That's definitely a possibility. I could go with Nico Williams if he gets his move to Notts Forest, which I don't love. I got Kakare, which could be good enough, to be fair. If he's putting up 50 to 60 with his AA score, then, as a super rare, I can kind of live with that. And then who else have I got? Lahaji's probably not going to play. Jordan Bayer, maybe, if he starts really well for Gladbach. Visharan, super rare, could definitely be in with a shout. So yeah, there's a bit of wiggle room with the other super rare, I think. Florentino Luis, like I said, if Yorbe starts, that could be like the PSV situation here could work out really well. I'm not massively confident that Yorbe is going to start the season as their number 9, but from what Rude says, he sort of likes him. So if I had to say, it would be Eric Garcia. 2 super rare defenders, Pedri and Gakpo would probably be my situation. And if Gakpo, for whatever reason, isn't at PSV, like I said, then I would go with Ansu Fati. What have we got here? So if it says you're at a very unfortunate place, a lot of people get into super rares. You've reached basically as high as you can without Mbappe. Yeah. But then is that unfortunate? Because I'm at a position where, there's not many places I can go in terms of like bettering the side. Like there's Timbers, there's Mbappe's, like the elite of the elite. But that my hope is like I can win enough rewards to where like I can just recycle them into other regions. So eventually the idea is to make my under 23 lineup so good that, the rewards I do win, if I win them, can be sold because they're under 23, and then I can buy, a nice D3 All-Star team, if that makes sense. That's kind of my thinking. David says he wishes Mbappe was aged out. Oh, so do I. I really do as well. It would make it so much easier. Guy scores 100 every week. It's disgusting. Yeah, I completely agree with you. So if we're saying that this is my my under 23 rare pro team, then if we were to build a under 23, because you got to remember, we'll just do an under 23 rare team now. Okay, so Van der Voort in goals is kind of nailed on. In terms of defender, Fofana has to play. There's no question about that. Midfielder, this is where it gets a bit tricky, because like I said, if Enzo Fernandez is available, then obviously I would play Enzo Fernandez. If he's not, then like it gets a little dicey. Like, if Vieira's not nailed on as much as I'd love him to be, if that makes sense. Let's say he was, then I'd love to play him. Of course, then I would probably play Fati, and then as my extra player, Sergio Gomez, Nico, but probably Sergio Gomez. Yeah, I mean Sergio Gomez or Onana. The team is good, obviously, but like I said, there's doubts in there. Vieira might not even start. Pedri, we don't know exactly his conditioning, but it would look something like this. So yeah, like I was very low on rare midfielders that I could really trust. Lucas said, "Bro, that team is class." On paper, it's class, but it doesn't like. It's not always the best team on paper that wins. Like we've seen that before. I've won divisions with teams that shouldn't win divisions, but I did. Like it's just luck. It's right time in right place, bit of strategy. Like you don't have to have players like this to win things. Like it helps. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it doesn't, but you can win with way less, 100%. David says Xhaka, Odegaard, and Vieira is Arsenal's midfield 3. You heard it here first. David, are you a Arsenal? Are you an Arsenal fan? I'd be interested to know. And then, so yeah, let's just say what I was getting at which I forgot to get at, was these are just the European versions of my teams. Obviously, I have a big MLS, not big, but big enough MLS and J League and a bit of K League as well with Seo Young Woo and Wook. Contingency, meaning that I can play those guys up until October, November time almost. Obviously, November is the World Cup, but up until October, all my guys are available, and then obviously after that, the MLS will finish and whatever the other South American and Asian leagues will finish. So I will obviously be left with the European guys, but like up until October, like I can use my Asian, my MLS, and my K-League guys. So, every week I'm probably not going to just go in with it with European only lineups, because why would I? There's obviously some good matchups to be had in those other divisions. So where I'm like quite weak in Europe, and I'm not like, this team isn't weak, obviously, but like strength wise, like I just don't have the depth. The depth comes for me in those other regions, in the MLS, in the K League, and in the J League, if that makes complete sense. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. The other reason, I know people are going to be like, "Oh, the World Cup's not going to mean much," but yeah, obviously you'd like to think Pedri's going to play a massive role for Spain. I do have three, maybe if Fati, sort of bucks up his ideas. I could have three starters on the books here for Spain if Eric Garcia gets the nod, and then combined with Diego Costa, if he gets the nod for Portugal, and then Nico Williams definitely plays for Wales, I could have an under-23 rare pro team for the World Cup. Don't get me wrong, they might not all play in the same game week, so I might not have a team, or I probably won't have a team. But it's just nice for me to think about, guys. Just let me think, or let me just dream about that World Cup team. In terms of like a super rare team, then of course I would have to go. I could use a rare goalkeeper, to be fair, but if I still have Tani available, then of course I'm going to use him. I would be stupid not to. Defenders, Hazer says Jesus Ferreira could be under 23 forward for you as well. That's so true, Surface. Yeah, completely. That's why when I said like my best teams, like these are like my best European teams, if that makes sense. Of course, like I've just mentioned, I have depth elsewhere in other leagues, which I'm going to need to use. Like there's no way I can't not use Ferreira when he's at home to San Jose or whatever it is. Like I need to be able to take advantage of the good matchups that I have in other leagues, if that makes sense. If we're going with defenders off a World Cup, sorry, Surface. Yeah, that's true. If the US do decide to play Jesus as a 9, then yeah, I guess I do have a Jesus to look forward to in terms of another World Cup option. Defenders, like I said, if we're using J League players, then I would go with Big Seki. In terms of midfielders, if I haven't used Kakare in my D3 team, then I would probably use him in my D2. Did I say D2 twice then? What I tried to say was, if I don't play Kakare in my D3 team, I would probably use him in my D2. Alongside him would probably be Zion Fleming. Obviously, just moved to Millwall, which I do honestly think is a great move for him. And then as the extra player, you've got a Koga in there. If I think Ray Solly can have a good defensive matchup, Varela, if I think Boca could do well, Cho Young Wook, Nico Williams if he gets his move, Amaya, Jordan Bayer. There's some decent options there, like Yari Vasharan, like that. I do have sufficient options. I don't have crazy good options in super rares, but I have enough to get by. And like you've seen, I'm proof that you don't need crazy good super rare lineups to win things in that division. I've podiumed twice now in under 23 super rare. Came third, and I've come. Where else have I come? Third and first. Sorry, there's a fly on me. Where is my SO5 results? No. SO5 stats, yeah. So came first here, and then I came third here with the Arakai win. So it's possible. And the teams I won those cards with weren't the best in any way, shape, or form. You've just got, just buy your luck sometimes, and some it just works out. I don't know what the explanation for it is, but yeah, you just get a little bit of luck on your side sometimes. So yeah, what I'm getting at is I needed to trim down on super rares, which I did do with that 2 ETH deal that I did, which was very, very helpful in me getting the Pedri, of course. I've still got a bit of rare situationing to do. Like I do need to trim, or I do need to bolster things up a little bit. We'll look at forwards first. So I think forwards, even though I have I have the same amount of forwards that I do defenders in terms of res, but in terms of the quality, like Ferreira, Gakpo, Mitsuta, and Fati, I don't really need much more than that, as long as Gakpo stays, as long as Fati's fit. And those are things that I can't control. Obviously, I can't control anything in this footballing world. Jovalic could turn out to be a good move as well. And then Italian guy who I won a few days ago, and Akida, who's been good for me recently. He obviously helped me win one of the Super Rare divisions. And then I've got Fujio for next season, hopefully. So I think in terms of like forwards, I'm fine. Rare defenders, a lot of my quality comes in the non-European leagues, which is fine. Tsunomoto, who's been quite poor recently, actually. Rob says AJ is poor for under 23 midfielders in terms of high-end performance. Yeah, you are right, Rob, actually. That's an interesting observation. I wonder why that is. I don't know if you have an explanation for that or you have some sort of theory on why that is. Daiki's been really good for me. Very budget player. He's still around that price, to be fair. Same as Diego Palacios. His scores are a little bit up and down for me. 7 against Seattle and then 94 against Red Bull. I just don't love the inconsistencies of that. David says, I pray Gakpo doesn't go to Leeds. I'm begging Rafinha stays and then Gakpo surely doesn't move. I saw De Ketelaere has bid 26 mil. I saw Leeds have bid 26 mils for Charles De Ketelaere. Ooh. Yeah, I really hope Gakpo doesn't move to Leeds, man. I really am praying that he doesn't. But it's just, like the Vieira thing is just so hard to know, to foresee a lot of these transfers. It's really tough. Rob says, a lot of the best prospects are forward cards. The best midfielders are types of players who don't suit the matrix, in my opinion. Yeah, that makes sense, Rob. I really do appreciate you. Giving your opinion on that. Like I said, in terms of depth, Seo Young-woo, although he's been getting rotated quite a bit in the last few games, he is a good asset to have, of course. Wesley Fofana is arguably my best defender in terms of consistency, in terms of like being an under 23 prospect. He's obviously, I think he's going to be world class. He's on the way to being that, I think. Nico Williams rare. We obviously need him to move club. Nottingham Forest is rumoured. Obviously, playing in the Premier League would be great for him. They need a right back. It's going to be tough to see how well he's going to score in the Premier League. Sergio Gomez, a really highly rated left back. So, I don't have terrible players. Like I just don't have the elite of the elite. I don't have Deot Upamecano. I don't have Timber. I don't have Satalo. I don't have the guys, on paper who are the best. Bald Sherlock says Odilons should be in line for a good year this year with Leverkusen. Yeah, I've been really patient with him, to be honest. I've won him twice, actually. I've won 2 rares and I've kept this one. So I've technically had 3 at one point. I do really like him. They play him at right back, though, which just annoys me, basically, because he doesn't score as well as I'd like him to. And then a Diego Leite, who has gone back from his loan back to Porto. I just don't think he's going to play for Porto, basically. So he's going to probably have to move away. Hopefully he can find a starting position. So, yeah, rare defenders. Like, I don't love my options. I have good enough options to get me by, but I don't have those, I don't have a Pedri of defense, if that makes sense. A Pedri caliber type of defender. Surface says, what is your ETH balance heading into Europe? My ETH balance is 1.4 ETH right now. I'm not hiding it for any reason. I just like seeing the little, I don't know what happened there, the little wallet sign. I don't know, it just looks more aesthetic with all these little icons. They're all symmetrical and in place. But yeah, 1.4 ETH is what I've got right now. I am open to selling a few more bits here and there to trim things down. Looking at my midfielders in terms of rares, obviously we just bought in Pedri, Paradella, Pereira. All these guys are just not it at all, really. They're sort of future prospects / just a bit of fat on the edges of the main piece of meat, if that makes sense. Tyler Adams could turn out to be a decent midfielder for Leeds if he does move there, but I'm not massively, I don't massively have my hopes up for that. Aaron says, hey, Harry, how's things? Congrats on the Pedri signing. Thank you, Aaron. I do really appreciate it, man. I saw you you added me to that tweet, didn't you, of that FPL guy or comment. I don't know. You tweeted my name or something to him, which was really nice of you to do. I do really appreciate that, Aaron. But yeah, I'm doing really well. Thank you, mate. Hope you're doing equally as well. Just going through who I have basically midfielder-wise for the upcoming season in terms of like real good players. Pablo Ruiz obviously is going to be a good piece for me. Again, not European. Onana could have a really breakout season next year and he could shock me, but I can't count on that, There's not enough data for me to really count on that. Pomykal is a bit of fat on the edges. Vieira, if what David's saying is true, then that could turn out to be great, and that would be so grateful if Vieira was a starter. That'd be awesome. Of course, we do have an Enzo Fernandez who is arguably top five. Obviously, moving to Benfica, there is going to be uncertainty around that, fitting into the side, embedding into a new country. There's loads of things you have to think about, but, has the capabilities to be a top five midfielder on the platform, under 23 wise, that is. Bold Sherlock says, oh, okay, Luca, actually, I missed that. So Luca says, Sergio Gomez rumored to Inter. That's interesting. Don't know if I'd like that move. Bold Sherlock says, have you considered splashing the cash on an Nkunku type of player? Seems locked in for a high caliber year. So Nkunku's 24, so his eligibility is going to be gone. But then if you're talking like his caliber, then who else is in the Nkunku caliber in terms of midfielders? Like Joey Verman, maybe Pedri. Like I think I've kind of just bought the younger, like the same tier as Nkunku, but just younger, if that makes sense, in Pedri. Georgie says Enzo will be crazy, in my opinion. Jorge says I need a Facundo Torres. I really like Facundo Torres. I made a video a couple months ago now doing 5 under 23 players that people should keep an eye on or something. He was in there. David says keep an eye on Dominic Szoboszlai. Yeah, I really like Szoboszlai. I've had my eyes on him for a long time, to be fair. Suits the matrix really well, but won't get in ahead of Nkunku at Leipzig. They rotate too much. Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I'm put off by him, to be completely honest. But I've seen Szoboszlai completely rip up Wales at the Cardiff City Stadium for Hungary many a time over the last few years, even though he's only like 21, 22. Yeah, great player. So like I said, I believe Enzo will be great. It's just I don't know when he's going to move. Like there's just so many things I have to worry about with that situation, Ramsey's obviously too old. Suzuki just isn't going to really cut it for me. I have my 4 Jack de Vries and my Kayser Teal. So yeah, my depth just isn't there right now. But the problem is with depth with under 23s, if I can only play rare, well, I can play them in under 23 super rare. I could play one, of course, but I'm not going to. There's basically, if you look at it this way, if I want loads of depth, it basically means that like a few of those really good players that I buy aren't going to even get into the side, because there's only maximum 2 midfielder roles in the under 23 rare team. Excuse me. And there's only a maximum of 2. But with the super rare situation, there's basically only 1 midfielder role with the under 23 rare pro situation. So you're looking at like only 3 midfielder roles effectively. And if Vieira is a starter, then I've basically covered them with Pedri, Enzo, and Vieira. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with Vieira. Like I said, there's uncertainty with when Enzo's going to move. So, I'm kind of then left with one like really, really good midfielder option. There is other midfielder options here. Ruiz, Onana, like there's some guys here, but just not enough. There's just nowhere near enough, I don't think. Surface says, have you considered another under 23 super rare besides Tani? Strategy for Rare Pro. It's usually the easiest way to upgrade your potential D3 score, because you can afford elite rares, but not the positional elite super rare. Yeah, and it also utilizes more rare depth in D3. Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it, to be fair, Surface. Raheem says, I might need a fatty. Raheem, you will be happy to see that I do have the boy, Ansu Fati, ready to stack with him. But going back to what Surface says, he says he plays his super goalie in D3 a lot. That is interesting, Surface, to be completely honest. Well, let's have a little look on the market. Who listen, 3 people going to Gomez. I don't think we've connected. We know the situation of in terms of we're looking if they don't pick a sheet, are you still within a chance of a card? Yeah, that's a good point, David. That's really let me know if I'm back. Raheem said what's happening. Let's see. So if it says I'm back, okay, perfect. I'm not sure why my face isn't back for whatever reason. Yeah, I know I can. I know my audio's back, but yeah, well, we'll hide that. No, we'll keep it on. That's fine. Okay. David says it's laggy, but I can see. But I can see the screen now. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Surface. I'm really intrigued. Georgie says I'm back as well. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I like the sound of the strategy that you're sort of explaining there. But don't you think so? Okay, let me ask you: who do you play in under 23? Or like who is your under 23 Super A goalkeeper? Is basically my question, because I just don't think I can justify spending like 4 ETH on a goalkeeper that I just don't know if he's going to start or not. Oh, Stokey says my camera's working now. Perfect. Like Maximiano could potentially be. Is he? He's gone up in price. Interesting. Raheem says, who do you think's going to be the best under 23 goalkeeper next season? I mean, I think it's going to be Diego Costa. If I had to be completely honest, obviously I'm a little bit biased, but just going off last season, and yeah, I would have to say him. David says he's linked to Lazio. Surface says he has Lafont, Okoye, Tani headed into this year. Yeah, I mean, so the answer to the question that you initially asked is basically I can't afford. I'm never going to get an Okoye super rare because he's going to be like what 6 to 8 ETH probably, and then Lafont, yeah, is actually a decent shout actually. But again, you're looking at too much money basically to where I don't know if I want to put that into a super rare. And Lucas says he's betting on Aldemar. That's interesting. That could be a decent bet to be fair. Yeah, so yeah, I just don't think like I have the Tanny and he will or can still be used. But yeah, that obviously leaves me one short, doesn't it, for under 23 super rare. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I wonder. Yeah, did you answer Surface? Did you answer the like what happens if your goalkeeper doesn't get a clean sheet question? Who asked that? Let me see. David asked it. Yeah, David asked if they don't keep a clean sheet, are you still within a chance of a reward? Basically, Stokey says if Maximiano goes to Lazio, I think he's going to be one of the best under 23 keepers next year. That's an interesting one. Surface says Okoye is about 5.5. I mean, I know his rare is like 2.8 or something, right? Okay, 5.9. Yes. I mean, yeah, it's not terrible actually, to be completely honest. If he is the starter for Watford, then that's a good little card to have. Well, it's a very good card to have. Obviously, midweek utility as well. Yeah, that's something to definitely think about for me. I just don't know if I can justify that. Like, I don't know if I can extract that much value out of my gallery. 5 ETH's worth again, and not like hurt hurt it a lot, if that makes sense. Harren says, how are you handling the stress of being an under-23 manager this time of year? I'm kind of numb to it, but I'm ready for the worst. Like, I really am. I'm ready for Gakpo to move to Leeds and my whole next season forward plans just going completely out of the window. Like, I don't want it to happen, but I could just see some massive curveball happening. And yeah, it scares me. It's not a nice time to be an under-23 manager right now, to be completely honest. Surface says, regarding the CS question, it's too complex to really answer in YouTube chat. Okay, that makes sense. Raheem says he's not high on Watford. Jonathan says, I wouldn't touch Okoye in my opinion. Haven't had they've had more managers than I've had meals in the last 3 years. That's actually true. Stokey says, yeah, I think Lazio will keep a fair few clean sheet in most games, and he will see a few shots they'll have to save, even more against the likes of Inter and Juve. That makes sense, Stokey. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Jonathan says everything changes with Watford every 3 months. Yeah, Watford's managerial situation has never been a good one. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that, with the Okoye situation. But yeah, Maximiano could come in handy. What's his rare price at? 1.3. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. Yeah, you could, I could take a gamble on his super rare, hoping that, that he's usable and has moved club, but I don't know. It's a tricky one. I'm not. Like I mentioned this in the podcast with Andy on Friday. Like, I just don't like taking too many risks with goalkeepers. It's hard enough taking risks with outfield players. With goalkeepers, like, if they're not the number one, you're waiting for a massive mistake for your player that you bought to become number one, and sometimes that never comes. Soki says, yeah, it's just making the move is a tricky part. Bald Sherlock says he's expensive, but at least you're guaranteed a player who is usable. Baldy says, I called him Baldy. I shouldn't have called you Baldy. I'm sorry. He said Van der Voort, most locked in under 23 for 2 years. Yeah, I do have a Van der Voort. He's up there for me with one of the better under 23 goalkeepers, just because his journey. He's going to play 2 years at Genk, and then he's going to move to Leipzig, and he's probably going to be number one. So yeah, he has a nice little route in terms of his under 23 situation for the next few years. David says Van der Voort doesn't have midweek next season, which stops him being in the elite 5. He is safe, but from a bad transfer though. It's okay. I am very bad. I am very bald. I'm going bald as well, to be fair. Well, I will be bald. No, I don't know if I'll be bald. I'll definitely have the M head, because my old man has the M head. Raheem says, "Oh, please, not another Van der Voort comment. His price is not worth it." No, I don't know. Van der Voort is arguably one of the best. Like, for his age, he's like the best goalkeeper around. Let's be completely honest. There's no other goalkeeper really at that age is performing at the level he is. Like, just fact. So there's a reason why he's so expensive. Like, the market knows why. Van der Voort is the price he is. But yeah, going back to the super or the other super question, yeah, that is interesting. I might need to get a super European goalkeeper in somehow. Whether I take the risk on Maximiano, yeah, it's tough. It is tough. Surface says, it was just a suggestion. Honestly, I think your first priority should have you should have minimum 4.5 ETH going into the year. You have podium quality teams, but high injury risk guys. Yeah, that's a very fair observation, Surface. I probably do need a bigger cash balance. And yeah, I do have a few injury prone guys, like the likes of Fati and so on. Yeah, so yeah, I do need to work on the cash balance, to be fair. One player that I was really looking to get rid of, and I had a few offers for him, but just not at the price I wanted to sell him at, was not Kakare. Where's he to? Mayari Vasharan. I just don't know. Without company, I just don't know how well he's going to play this season. He wasn't even like that great last season, to be completely honest. But yeah, I've had offers over 1 ETH for him. If I got like 1.5, maybe I would probably give that up. Um, yeah, he just doesn't do it enough for me, and I don't know. Like, there's some good scores there. Don't get me wrong. There's some nice green scores there. There's just far too many 40s for me. David says, okay. Anina says, my belief is that Ozair will go somewhere good and be the best there. Interesting, Anina. David, have a look at Bayezid Super Rare, maybe. Bit of a gamble, but I think he's got the number one spot for next season. Same with Diego Costa in the Turkish league. Rennes is the only team where you can stack midweek goalkeeper and defender. Okay. Let me have a look at this. Bayezid. Okay. See, a super went for 1 ETH 5 days ago. That would have been ideal. Interesting. Okay, so he's pretty cheap right now. So the market doesn't really think that he's going to be a starter for the most part, which is fine. Yeah, that is definitely something to look out for. But yeah, just going back to like me trying to get a bigger cash balance than I do right now, I think Yari Vasharan would be up there with one of the supers that I would like to get rid of. Let's just go through my list. So I don't want to get rid of my Slatteries because I think he's too cheap and he'll come in handy next season. I'm not selling Varela, Barco, Koga's staying, Kakare staying, Seki's staying. Garcia for the right amount might go. If I could get like 4 or 5 ETH for him, then I think he's gone. So everyone does have a price, but like I'm just going through the ones that like I would definitely sell in a heartbeat, right? I don't want to sell Akida, got him too cheap. Badia Shield's not going anywhere. Zion Fleming's definitely staying with me. Arakai, I need a good season out of him next season, so he's staying. George Campbell stays, Amaya stays, Wook stays, Nico stays, Tani stays, Bayer stays. Maybe one of these two goes, but I don't really want to get rid of them. Yari Sharon, I would be happy letting go. Leschuk, if he becomes number one next season for Dynamo, then I'm hoping I can sell him for a nice chunk of change. Yorbe, I wouldn't want to sell. Lahaji, I would sell, but I wouldn't get much for him. Tobelason, there's just no point selling him really. And then Florentina Luis, depending on what happens with him next season, going back to Benfica, he could potentially be a sell. So I'm at a position now where like I don't really want to sell. Like I'm not in a rush to sell many of my supers. I'm quite happy with the amount that I've trimmed down. In terms of rares, oh my god, I would get rid of a lot of these. Itanga could go, Tyler Adams could go, Matsumura could go, Joveljic could definitely go. Tsunomoto's been poor for me, so I definitely would get rid of him. Barella I would keep just because I got him so cheap. Daiki would stay, Ruiz stays, Ferreira stays, Akita stays, Palacios stays, Mitsuta same, Onana stays. I would get rid of Paxton, to be fair, but wouldn't get much for him. I have to keep these two. Shota is for next season, so they have to stay. Yuito Suzuki, he's too cheap for me to really change much in terms of my cash balance. I would potentially get rid of Seo Young Woo for the price he's at, to be completely honest, just because I could probably do a lot with the money that I could get for him. Costa stays, Osako stays, Fati stays, Gakpo stays, Nico stays, Fofana stays. Nico could, like, obviously having a super rare Nico and a rare Nico, I probably don't need both. If he does get his move to Forest, I might sell one of them. I'm kind of open to selling Sergio Gomez, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be annoyed if I wouldn't really miss him that much. And then Van der Voort stays, Ramsey doesn't really make a difference. So Dillion stays, the Jack Javri stay. And then I think the next person is Big Vinny Company. Imagine if he started playing in the championship for Burnley. That'd be really, really funny. I would get utility out of him. Diego Leite, he needs a move. And then Kays Ruiz Atil. I don't know what's going on with him. To be completely honest, okay, let's have a look at the stream. Sorry, guys, I neglected you for like 5 minutes. Okay, so Aziz said, okay, no, wait, we missed a lot here. Lucas says he sold his Bayezid yesterday. Fruchel at 4 ETH for the super rare has midweek utility. Jargy, I'll definitely have a look at that one. Lucas says they will buy another goalkeeper for sure. Okay. Aziz says Bayezid has a good chance of being number one, but Kazari will probably get a transfer ban, so they might have big trouble with keeping clean sheet or conceding 3 goals. And Okay, Luca mentions the financial problems. David says, speaking to Quinny on Bayazid, the number one last season has left, so he should be in line. Same situation with Diego Costa. His team's number one has left, and he played all the games. The number one was injured last season. Surfer says, I think you missed the comment in regards to goalkeepers. You have to examine the less. What's this? You have to examine the less clean sheets from someone like Okoye versus Costa, with what you can gain by playing an elite rare over a decent super rare. Got you. That makes complete sense. That definitely makes sense to me. Yeah, so how much can you gain on that rare midfielder over the super rare midfielder? Yeah, it's a good contemplation. For me, like in my position, I have stronger midfielder rare cards than I do rare almost. So it's like Kakare. Wait, let me go back to midfielders. Not stronger, but I have like good enough kind of ish. Like I completely get what you're saying, Surface. That is the contemplation, isn't it? It's whether or not, if you play a super rare goalkeeper, can that rare midfielder that you're going to play instead of the super rare midfielder, outscore that super rare midfielder effectively? And yeah, that's a good point. It's a really, really good point. Yeah, I'll definitely have to think about that for sure. That's definitely something to think of. Surfer says, like when Okoye is playing a bottom third team, you're ceiling with a super rare goalkeeper, plus super rare Fofana, plus 3 rares is higher. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I definitely get that. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation, definitely. I definitely need to think about that as well, for sure. Lots of food for thought. But yeah, I'm at a point now where like there's not that many cards I would like to get rid of. Service says, sorry, I meant Super Rare Garcia or Badia Shield, not Fofana. Okay, so what you're saying is if I played a Super Rare goalkeeper with the Super Rare Garcia or Badia Shield, then the 3 rares, you're basically got a higher ceiling than you would do if you played a rare goalkeeper, basically. And then 2 outfield Super Rares. Yeah, I get that. I get what you're saying. Jonathan said, where do you buy your foreign football shirts? To be honest, Jonathan, I bought this from Adidas, to be fair, just off like adidas.com, nothing special. I got that for free when I went to Orlando with all the Sorare guys, with like John Nellis and Sean Newsham and Laird and stuff. That was for free. This was a Wales training top, so that doesn't really make a difference. I don't know if you can see this, but this is a Ladero retro Seattle Sounders jersey that, my housemate's from Seattle, basically, so he just basically gave me that. And then this Real Madrid, the pink Real Madrid top was literally, I've had it since I was a kid, basically, so I just brought them all over to the States with me. And just hung them up. Like, I'm not really like a massive shirt. Like, I don't have like hundreds of shirts. I literally have like this and then like maybe 10 more at home. But yeah, I don't really have like a good site really to buy. Like, I don't know any retro football sites, to be completely honest. It's not something I've really done. I've either like got it off a friend or had it since I was a kid. So yeah, I'm not really the guy to ask there, to be honest, Jonathan. Sorry for that. Okay, we've been going an hour and 20 minutes, guys, and I'm so thankful for all of you for being here this long. I really didn't expect you guys to be this interested in this conversation, but the stream chat has been insane tonight. Surface, massive thanks to you for all the thought-provoking ideas and comments and stuff, and everyone else alongside that, Rob, David, Jargy, all of you. There's too many of you to mention, but honestly, can't thank you all enough. There will be a stream Thursday with me, Quinny, and Simply Alex. I will be in this setup, so I have Wi-Fi now. I'm all good, even though the Wi-Fi went out earlier. I should be good Thursday for game week 284, which should be a cracker. Loads of MLS, loads of J League, loads of K League, so buzzing for that. If you could leave a like on the stream, guys, honestly, it means the absolute world to me. You honestly just don't understand. Like, I know it sounds cringy, but honestly, the amount of effort and time I put into all this, I love it more than anything. Like, it's just hard for me to put into words. Like, doing the streams, the videos and stuff. Like, it's what I've always wanted to do ever since I left school. So, yeah, please, any likes, anything like that, comments. Honestly, I know it takes a couple minutes out of your time, but the amount that it means to me is ridiculous. So, yeah, honestly, guys, means the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, hope you've had a wicked night. Hope you've had a good Monday. And yeah, I shall see you guys on Thursday, like I said, with me, Quinny, and Simply Alex. Yeah, for another chat. Really do appreciate it, lads. If you're in the UK and Europe, have a good night's sleep in the next few hours. If you're in the US, then yeah, I hope you're not sleeping at 3:30. But if you are, I'm not against it. Afternoon naps are the way forward. Yeah, have a wicked evening, guys. Peace.